in a car. Okay,
Yeah.
we are going live now. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today on this webinar. We have a very exciting topic and an even more exciting panel talking about something that's so relevant to all of us in Malaysia, but also in the pharmacy business. It's beyond news now. The coronavirus has devastated the global economy, devastated global healthcare, and continues to. The death rates are still rising. Last night, Indonesia reported 50,000 new reports, um, 50,000 new fetal cases to date, making it one of the top 10 countries in the world, which is our neighbor, right? So this is going to be here for a while. The President Xi of China said that the genie is out of the bubble, or the out of the bottle, and it's very, very difficult to contain this virus. So how does it affect us? How does it affect the pharmacy business? How does it affect your business, right? Today, we have a special panel talking about a very special business to them, which is the independent pharmacy, the retail pharmacy, the IPs. Before I start, let me introduce you to the panel. The panel is Mr. Benny Gunn. Benny is a personal friend of mine. I have a huge respect and admiration for him. He built his business, which is now 500 million ringgit, from a shop lot, second floor of a shop lot. Today, some of the biggest brands out there are distributed by GBA, Evian, mineral water, San Remo's pasta, Equal Sweetener, Kinder Bueno, big brands, right? And he's done a tremendous job. I invited him to the seminar because to give us perspective, not just from our pharmacy business, but also the food business, which is linked to our business, but also he distributes products in the pharmacy, Equal and Fisherman's Friend. So he kind of has a feel of how that business is moving. Then we have Mai Nguyen. She's from IQVIA. IQVIA used to be known as Nielsen. She's going to share some customer perspectives, how the pharmacy business was affected by COVID-19, how the medical business is affected by COVID-19, and give some of her thoughts or the thoughts of IQVIA on where this is now going to go forward. And of course, last but not least, Louis George Lassenary, a Frenchman who just arrived in Malaysia in January, just before COVID-19 broke out. I've had several very good interactions with him. A very nice guy, very, very easy to work with. And he agreed to come on this panel for the second time. We had a business for the retail on Wednesday to talk about how this business, how his business is being impacted by COVID-19 and what he thinks will be the future direction of this business, of his business, of your business, of our business in the coming months. Yeah. So let me first start by giving a very quick overview of my own thoughts, my own personal thoughts, that also the thoughts of Holista. So I say, this title is very, very provocative. I say it's the rise of the retail pharmacy in Malaysia. I think COVID-19 and what I saw on Wednesday with the data from both Zuellig and IQVIA and even some of the thoughts of Benny is COVID-19 is an amazing opportunity for retail pharmacies, for independent pharmacies who are based away from shopping malls, who are based in housing centers, because consumers now don't want to go and hang out in shopping malls, want to go and immediately pick up their products, and would be open to the idea of home delivery of supplements and pharmaceuticals, and a pharmacist who's been good, with good relationship, who has got good database of his customers. He can actually follow up with them far better than a chain pharmacy would. Okay, next. So, I think the shifts are so fundamental and so phenomenal that I think BC should now stand for before COVID, and AD should stand for after distancing, and really after digital, because COVID has made that amazing push towards the digital economy. And that's the new normal. So today's event, as I said earlier, we have Benny Tan, the Group CEO of the GBA Group, Ms. Mai from IQVIA, Louis George, LG as he's preferred to be called. In fact, you will see on his WhatsApp, he's got the LG logo, Life's Good, CEO of Zuellig Pharma. And then we'll do some general discussions and a way forward. I would like, as a result of these two meetings, webinars, to come up with some recommendations for the Malaysian government, which we want to put through the MPS and through the Malaysian Dietary Supplement Association, of which I'm the founding president and advisor. And then, of course, we like to do a way forward where we think we will be and where we think we will be as a business. Okay, first, COVID-19 is a very unwelcome newcomer. In the first 4 weeks of this year, it's the #1 killer of human beings. It's beat everybody else: cancers, road accidents, diabetes, suicides, falls, malaria, Parkinson's, drug, alcohol, and even drowning. Even if there's not a single new infection tomorrow and therefore no new deaths, it will still be at the end of this year a top 10 killer. But the way it's going, it's still raging throughout the southern hemisphere now, especially in Brazil and Mexico, where last week they had 1,000 deaths in a single day and they've stopped reporting their numbers. It is going to be a significant problem for us going forward. And if we went back and look at the Spanish flu of 1918, then you know that the second wave was worse than the first wave, and the second wave killed more people than the first wave and the third wave put together. So everybody's bracing now for major disruptions at the end of this year and early part of next year. As I said earlier, it's far from over. In every region in the world, it's increasing. This is as of 21st of June. I want to quote Wong Chun-wai, which is relevant, the editor of The Star. Unless you are in the business of selling masks, surgical gloves, ventilators, and supplying boxes for food deliveries, the reality is the rest of us have become poorer. Right? So here, pharmacists who are selling surgical masks and gloves and may not necessarily become poorer. And if you haven't had your pay cut, gone on unpaid leave, or at least asked to clear your annual leave, it could only mean that you must be working in the civil service for the government, or for employees with excessively deep pockets. Yeah, that's coming from the staff, from Wong Chun-wai. I think it rings very true, and it's going to be ringing very true for the next 2 years in our economy. So let's look globally in terms of jobless claims, right? That is not a computer error or printout error. That is the actual claims in 2020, right? It has been higher than any recession that the United States has seen in recent times. Gross domestic product, it's fallen off a cliff as of Q1 of 2020. This is the real gross domestic product of the United States. Sadly, it's going to take time to recover. It's fallen off a cliff, and we think it will be 2 to 4 years before we see any rebound of the global economy. In terms of actual damage, you can see that across the board, every country is affected, right? And the effects are much greater in the US, Europe, than it is in Asia. In fact, China will have the least damage. They see a negative growth of only 5%, and the Euro area will be more than 10%. Right? So this is bad. The global economy is expected to shrink by about 7.7%, engulfing and affecting all of us. Let's get closer to home, Malaysia. This is coming from the Department of Statistics of Malaysia. Jobless claims, again, have already peaked at 3.9%. And the view of all the panelists that day, and my personal view is that we've yet to see the worst, because All the moratoriums on banks and loans and all that will be lifted in September. And then the banks go after for foreclosures. And we expect to have a harrowing quarter 4 coming up. Tax revenue has been declining and will decline further this year, impacting the government's capacity to spend and support the economy. Petronas, which has always been the savior of the government in terms of dividends, is also being very badly affected by the almost unbelievable fall in the price of oil globally. On the other hand, one big trend is the rise of e-commerce. Amazon saw 2.5 billion visits to its stores for the year ended May this year. That's a 65% increase year on year compared to the year before. In China, 25% of all physical goods bought were via e-commerce, which is a tremendous jump, okay, because you're really looking at the digitalization of the Chinese economy. In the US, there was a 54% growth in Uber Eats, home deliveries. So, as I said earlier, we would like to set up an industry platform to talk about our industry and see how we can work with and dialogue with the government beyond just the usual incentives, how we can make some recommendations and how we can make media releases. Because as you will see figures coming from Zuellig and IQVIA, the pharmacy business has been a savior for Malaysians in this downturn. Okay. So let me now turn this over to Benny. Benny, over to you.
Thanks, Dato, and thanks for having me on this forum. And good morning to LG and Mai as well. And let me take this opportunity also to thank all my customers here for helping us in the past. And I look forward to your continuous support for our brands in the future as well. Thank you. Now, the current scenario is totally new to us.
Thanks.
I mean, none of us has experienced what we are experiencing now in terms of business, in terms of the way we live. Now, personally, I have never heard of the term social distancing until 6 months ago, right? And I've also been telling a lot of my friends, I said, in my whole life, I would never imagine there will come a day when my hands consume more alcohol than my mouth. Now, if you look at in the past, the financial crisis, which many of us has gone through, it only affects us financially. During those times, we can still go out to play, we can still go out to exercise, we can still carry on our daily routine to do what we normally do. But with the COVID-19, it changes everything. Now, just allow me to go back to a little bit of history. In 1985, when Malaysia experienced the first recession, which was caused by the interest rate in the States. Now, that recession lasted for 2 years, 1985 and 86. And we slowly got out of it in 87, 88. And we have a good period of prosperity after that. Then 11 years later, in 1997, we experienced the ASEAN currency or financial crisis. and that lasts more than a year. Then in 11 years later again, in 2008, we have also experienced the global recession that was started from America. That lasted for 2008 and 2009. 11 years later, today, 2020, we are facing a totally new challenges which we have no experience before. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the impact of COVID-19 is a structural one. It's not financial alone, it's structural one. In the past, the recession is only financial. The impact of COVID-19 is structural, meaning to say it affects the way we work, it affects the way we live, it affects the way we socialize. In other words, it affects the whole facet of our lifestyle. Now, if you look at it, how many of us are confident today to go into a crowded bus or a train without worrying? This has never happened before. Even 6 months ago, for example, you will never imagine that you have a security guard in front of your shop taking the temperature of your doctor customers that is coming to your pharmacy. And today it's happening very often now. Now, because COVID affects us on a structural basis, this is a game changer for all of us. Not only in the retail industry, but it's for everybody else. We cannot be doing things that we've been doing for the past 20 or 30 years. Today, the digital infrastructure and artificial intelligence will play a very key role moving forward. Growth of our business opportunities and innovation will definitely be linked with digital information and technology. Therefore, as a retailer, we will need to prepare ourselves to strengthen that part of our structure. We need to have digital information that would tell us about our customer, our suppliers, our vendors, and all our business associates. Therefore, as a start, moving forward from here, the development of human resources in infrastructure will be key and will be very important for us to move forward. If you look at the past 3 months in terms of business environment, most, if not all of us, have experienced a tremendous increase in online purchases. And the general consensus is that this trend will continue to grow. Now, looking back again, traditionally, logistics was never a key factor in a retail operation because the suppliers will deliver the goods to your doorsteps. The customers will come to your shop to purchase what they want, and they will leave. But because of COVID-19, a lot of customers, they purchase online. And because they purchase online, therefore, you will need to deliver their purchases to where they are residing. Now, the back-end support plus the last mile delivery for your operation will determine how successful you are in tapping into this growth segment of your business. Currently in Malaysia, we have more than 100 companies operating in the last mile delivery. Now, I'm sure some of them have already been your vendors or logistic support to your business. Now, for an independent pharmacy, with this digital and online purchases, in fact, it's a very big plus point for you guys, from my point of view. It's a very big plus point because if you have a virtual site, I think most of us have it. If you have a virtual site, it puts you almost on the same footprint or same coverage as your retail chain counterparts. In other words, you can compete with them almost on the same basis, almost on the same level as well. Now, therefore, if you look at it and look at the overall development now, I could only say these are the key factors for us to consider. Number one, the development of a good virtual shopping site for your customers, supported by a good digital infrastructure and a last mile delivery to your customers. This, I think, will be the business model for the time to come. So therefore, in a retail pharmacy, when you have a limited space or just a one-store operation, you are in no way losing out to a chain retailer. Because with the development of digital information, with the development of online shopping, you are virtually given a chance to operate on a much wider physical area, even in the whole country's coverage. And I think this is a good opportunity for you. While we have all these factors that's coming in, it is also very important from your management side to have a commitment, a management commitment to develop and explore this opportunity before you are left out. Thank you very much. And I'm happy to answer any question if you have later on. Thank you.
Yeah. Benny, very quickly, just tell us how GBA performed during this period and what were your key observations and what would your advice be to retail pharmacists from your own observations the last 3 months?
You know, if you look at the word crisis, where we are in now, in Chinese, crisis is made up of two words. opportunities and danger, or danger first and opportunities. So in a dangerous situation, there are also opportunities. GBA as a company, certain category of our products, we have totally sold out. We never have enough stocks to meet the demand, especially in our grocery sectors, our pastas, our food ingredients, our herb and spices, totally sold out. We don't have enough to meet the demand. This is mainly because I think during this period, people tend to stock up more of the basic items at home. That's number one. And number two, because we don't go out to eat or to entertain, we eat at home. Therefore, a lot of our products are being kept at home, are being used at home, and are being consumed at home. So they give us, this is the opportunity we have during this period. Now, so one set of business is doing very well. On the other hand, where we also have a food service division, we supply to hotels, clubs, restaurants, catering services. Now, this area, we are badly affected because, as you know, the hotel occupancy is less than 20%. A lot of restaurants are closed in the past few months. Catering event virtually non-existent. So that part of the business is badly affected. But overall, as a company, we are still better off because those areas where we are doing well more than cover those segments which we are suffering.
I mean, I always know GBA as a distributor of premium brands, right? So in nearly every category, you are the market leader, and nearly every category, you are the most expensive brand, right? So the common notion is in times of crisis, customers choose cheaper, they go away from market leaders. What are your thoughts on that? What's your own experience on that the last 3 months?
Dato, I got another saying, good thing no cheap, cheap thing no good. Now, actually, all our brands, as a company, I always believe in selling brands rather than products. So even though our products are mainly in the middle class pricing range, but our brands carries a lot of value to it, to the products. So in actual case, if you work it out, it's still so much cheaper. I will give you an example. We sell a lot of herb and spices, and our prices are above average. Now, if you use our product from McCormick, for example, when you do the cooking, you do the seasoning, you would notice that you need only a smaller portion, a smaller quantity of our products to give you the same sort of flavor and taste versus a commodity-based brand. I'm referring to our, say, for example, give you an example of our pepper. A small portion of pepper will give you the same sort of taste and flavors as those that you use on the cheaper brand or on the roadside store. So, on the other thing which we always believe in is that our brands always carry a lot of brand value, and because of that, we have a very loyal base of consumer that continue using our products. So the brand value here, a lot of value and a lot of advantages to our products.
One last question, Benny. You also distribute into pharmacies, brands like Equal and Fisherman Friends and all that. How did that change?
For us, the pharmacy has always been a very important channel for us. Beside Fisherman's Friend and beside Equal, we also distribute Avian Water. We also distribute our sugar-free Smuckers Jam, plus other products. Now, during this period of the COVID-19, our turnover and our supplies to the pharmaceutical trade was not affected at all.
Not at all, huh?
Yeah, because it's business as usual for us. Right.
Okay, thank you so much, Benny. Mai, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dato. Thank you, Benny, for giving a very nice sharing about the situation. And glad to hear that your business is still doing very well.
Thank you.
All right, let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Hello everyone. How is everyone doing? Well, I hope that everyone is staying safe and doing well. My name is Mai. I'm from IQVIA consultancy firm focusing on pharma and healthcare. So today I'm very happy to join the webinar and to share IQVIA's point of view about the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact on the Malaysia healthcare business. So this is our thinking based on the available data that we have on how the COVID-19 has been impacted the healthcare environment in Malaysia in overall and also pharmacy landscape in specific. So IQVIA is a human data science company, and we're very happy to continue to help reduce the impact of COVID-19 while continue to drive the healthcare forward. For today's section, let me just recap all the available data source that we use. Firstly, we use our national sales audit data. This is IQVIA proprietary data. It includes all the sell-in data, all the direct data from distributor to pharmacy channel, hospital channel, and clinic channels, so that we can see the picture of the sales environment in Malaysia in terms of consumer health products. We also interview a lot of key stakeholders, market participants, and industry executives from entire Southeast Asia, so that we can see Malaysia versus other countries' perspective. We ran an online survey and we talked to 350 healthcare professionals, doctors from different departments across Southeast Asia. We also did another online survey with about 100 pharmacists in Malaysia to understand their perspective about Malaysia landscape. Apart from that, we will use other available data from WHO, academic institutions, and also government agencies. So for today's sharing, I will talk about three key topics. One is just a brief about COVID situation in Southeast Asia. I know Dato and Benny has introduced and has talked about that for the past half an hour, so I go quickly about that. Most importantly, I will talk more about product impact on products and healthcare and the in-pharmacy channels. Last but not least, it will be the changing ways of working, some of our observation, and I'm very happy for further discussion on how we can move it forward. So just a brief recap about the region situation. We can see that every country in the world and also in Southeast Asia has changed significantly since end January 2020. In Malaysia, Bank Negara reduced the forecast of 2020 GDP growth from -2% to 0.5% only. IMF also revised the projected growth for Asian from 4.8% to -0.6%. A lot of people have lost the job as a business haunting. In Malaysia, we read on the news that around 300,000 F&B shop has closed, and we all are still waiting for the next the next situation in September after all the monetary from the bank is lifted. Also, that we can see that a lot of effort from government in Southeast Asia to set the budget more than 140 billion US dollars so that they can limit the economic impact from the pandemic on the country. So if we see that COVID-19 that definitely has changed the way of our current life professionally and also personally, it has far-reaching the impact on the national health system and the healthcare services. I will talk about more details in the next few minutes, but overall, we can see there are three key impacts on Malaysia healthcare. One is a fluctuating demand for the health products. Due to the COVID situation, we can see the surge of certain products and the decline of certain products and also channels because people have the need for prevention and also treatment. That's why that there's some fluctuation in certain health products. Apart from that is a decline in the healthcare service utilization. Definitely, people are afraid and cautious of traveling. That's why that certain channels got the surge and the decline the healthcare services utilization happened. And last but not least, due to the unexpectation, we also observe the unpredictability in the supply chain. So we can see that it has changed on our lifestyle professionally and personally, and we will find ourselves in a new era. So let's move to the first impact, the fluctuation of the demand in the health market. So we can see that from our national sales audit data, this is again on the sell-in data from distributor to hospital channel, clinic and pharmacy channel. From January, April 2020 versus a year ago, we see that there are categories who enjoy the increase. The top three categories with the growth in value sales are cough, cold, respiratory, vitamin and supplement, and last is the skin treatment. So definitely these three products are very much in line with the need of consumers for the prevention and to boost their immunity, also to quickly cure any symptom about nasal, about throat and skin so that they can minimize on the chance of coronavirus infection. Especially we can see that topical nasal sprays and vitamin C combination even increase more than 100%. So this is our opportunity. And actually, if we look into the monthly trend, so still the same source of data, but we break into the monthly trend in the year time from March 2019 until April 2020, we can see that the increase, the growth started earlier in the Jan when the lockdown in Hubei started. And it hit the peak when MCO period was initiated in mid-March. So definitely, when consumers start to have the demand for immunity boosting, all the manufacturers and channels have been very well prepared to prepare on the product stock up. We see the drop in April because on the stocking on the product pipeline has been implemented in mid-March. That's why that we see a drop in April. It may still drop in May, but we feel that it will be bounced back in the months to come. Because when we talk to pharmacists in Malaysia, we can see that the top category in demand in the next 6 months are still very much relevant for the first line of defense and also immunity builder. Apart from face mask, disinfectant, we see vitamin, cough and cold, multivet, other supplement like iron, probiotic, zinc, pain relief are still very much in demand in the next 6 months. So consumer definitely still have the need for all these products, and this will be the opportunity. So another fluctuation that we can see is in terms of channel, not only in terms of products. If we look into the sales data by channel, the blue line indicates the sales in pharmacy channel. The yellow line indicates the sales in private hospital, and the gray line talks about the clinic sales data. So we can see a very clear picture here. Over the past 1 year, pharmacy channel has turned to be the top purchaser channel in terms of sales over other channels. And it even hits the peak during the MCO time. We can see the very big surge here. This is very much in line with our observation and also understanding, because during the MCO time, people start to be cautious about traveling. They try to avoid private hospital and also clinic. So pharmacy become the top of mind channels, the top channel for consideration when they need to buy something. Especially during this time, people have the great demand, the surge in getting products for prevention, for treatment, for OTC, vitamin. That's why we can see the surge here. Again, the drop in April was due to the stock up happened already in March. But as we say, the top category as like vitamin and disinfectant is still in demand for the next 6 months. So we also expect that it will be bounced back in the coming months. So if we can see that this is the opportunity for all the pharmacy, so what should we do? Then that would be the opportunity, especially for independent pharmacy, for retail pharmacy, when you don't have any obstacle for shopping mall, and people also feel more comfortable to visit the neighborhood store. So this could be the opportunity. But how can we leverage that? How can we bring it forward? That will be the very big question. We move to the second impact, which is the decline for the healthcare service utilization. When we interview doctors across Southeast Asia, we see that not only the sales in hospital and clinic declined, but the footfall, the number of patients, the traffic for outpatients who visit the hospital also declined by 60%. Obviously, patients are avoiding hospital and only coming in if they face some severe symptoms. And doctors expect it will take about 4 to 6 months to resume back to normal. In order to deal with that situation, they start to give double duration so that patients don't need to visit the hospital very frequently, so that they can have the medication for the longer period. Apart from that, when we observe the inpatient visit, we also see the decline similarly to the outpatient visit. Because doctors also feel that patients are trying to reduce the risk of getting infected. Similarly, regarding all the elective surgery, it's also decreased greatly, so that the hospital can utilize the medical resources for COVID treatment, and again, to reduce the risk of infecting. We also see that the expectation, the decline in the medical tourism across all Southeast Asia countries. So Malaysia, doctors expect that 60% feel that it's still negatively impacted, especially after the lockdown. Vietnam seems to be the most positive opinion, has the positive opinion here. But again, it's also on the negative side. So in this situation of a lot of decline in the footfall, it's very crucial for pharma, for healthcare business to start to keep updated, and then also to get on the new innovation technology, on the digital consultation, e-commerce, so that we can keep data updated and also get used to the new normal. The last impact is about the unpredictability in the supply chain. We zoom into Malaysia market week by week. This is the national sales data from IQVIA. And when we can see that if we look into the change in the data in the sales on the weekly basis, we see that the drug procurement was only concentrated in the week when a lot of events happened. If we look back, when the first local transmission case happened on the 7th February, and when the number of cases in Malaysia doubled from 8 to 16 in a week, we see the surge in the demand here in the sales, especially in pharmacy channel. It also happened in other channels, but especially in pharmacy channel. Well, And we see another peak happen in MCO March. So this is really unpredictable. Whenever there is some event or some action or some case happen, then we can see all the concentration of sales of stock up happen at that time. Distribution has always been the key factor for driving sales, and it is even more critical during the pandemic time, because again we can see that people are trying to avoid traveling and avoid to go from one store to another store due to on the operation on the checkup in front of the store on the risk to get infected. So they are not likely to be loyal to any brands. They will tend to switch the brand in the store if the distribution is not there. We see that the winning brands during the COVID time, regardless of what category, are the brands who have the very good distribution inside the store, so that they have availability, they have attraction to the customers, and especially the consumer doesn't need to face out of stock products. So that is the key factor. So what should we do as the next step? There are few observations from IQVIA, and we want to share with you. Absolutely, the COVID-19 has disrupted the healthcare ecosystem and creates the environment that accelerated the option on the technology. We see the surge of e-commerce during the first quarter only, since the movement control order was introduced in Malaysia. We see the gross merchandise volume growth increased by more than near to 150%. The pandemic has resulted in e-commerce business booming globally, especially nowadays when people start to reduce traveling and reduce the window shopping, reduce on the impulse shopping as well. So e-commerce become the big chunk and also the big the big opportunity. Like Benny just shared just now, for this, if we can maintain the good infrastructure and the e-commerce platform, then on the independent pharmacy definitely can compete with any chain pharmacy nationwide. Another thing that we can see is government also implemented some methods so that they can ensure the continued adherence to treatment while still practicing the social distancing, and to have to ease the burden of patients who require the follow-up medication. For example, Malaysia Health Ministry provided the free delivery for medicine by post for follow-up patients. Then how about delivery service for our customers on the product delivery, phone, shopping via call, and then home delivery? So those are some ideas that we can think about. And last but not least is the e-detailing service. We can see that before on the majority of the conversation and engagement with medical representative from pharmaceutical are face-to-face. And this is still the favorite channel. However, during the MCO, like it or not, everything was shifted into digital engagement and detailing. And doctors, pharmacists across different departments in Malaysia and other countries have been get used to on the interaction via social media instead, on the WhatsApp, Facebook, WeChat, etc. Engagement with doctor needs to be managed to ensure that they still get the support in the treating and caring, but also need to get ensure that they don't have the information overloaded. Of course, face-to-face is still the top favorite channel, but we can see that e-detailing start to be more and more common, and healthcare professional, doctors, pharmacists are also open to start to shift to the digital engagement. So we believe that COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted a lot of industry, and so does the healthcare system. Everything happens for a reason. Benny just talked about very nicely in Chinese, which is opportunity, include on the risks and also on the opportunity. So everything happens for a reason. And we believe that this is really a real test for all of us, for the healthcare industry, for pharmacies, for everyone, to get updated so that we can keep ourselves updated and also get used to the new normal. So this also ends my sharing here today. Should you have any question, I'm very glad to connect again and in the end of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Mai. One question before I pass on to LG. Specifically in the pharmacy, we saw, or rather I saw, pharmacies being closed, pharmacies shortening their hours, in some retail chains, consumers being asked to line up outside. I would have thought that the business would have shrunk. It does not. Can you explain why?
Well, I would say that of course a lot of shop and shopping mall close and all the procedure, definitely it will impact, but definitely the need for all the treatment, the need for all the immunity boosting is still there. So that's why that they will try to plan the trip nicely so that they don't need to go to a lot of store or spend a lot of time. But the need for all those products is even more critical. That's why that they will still need to go and get all those products. They can deprioritize other category, but all the essential need is still there. But of course, the time spent in pharmacy may be shorter, rather than they can go around one trip of the pharmacy and have more impulse shopping. Then this is shortened, the time is shortened, it will be more straightforward. I will need this straight away, I come and get those items.
Did you track, did IQVIA, by the way, IQVIA used to be called Nielsen, yeah? Did you track online purchases of supplements?
For now, online purchase is not yet available in IQVIA data. Yeah.
So that means the business would have been even bigger if we looked at online.
Definitely. It will be even bigger if we look into the online purchase.
All right. Okay.
Dato',
Yes.
Can I just add a comment on this one? Based on our interaction from the company with our customers, I think during the last few months, the chain pharmacy are probably more affected than the independent pharmacy. Mainly because a lot of chain pharmacy, they operate out from shopping mall and complexes, whereas the independents are mainly operating out from the shop lots or in the housing estate area. And during this period, a lot of people avoid going to the shopping mall and complexes, and they prefer to go to a neighborhood store where there are less interaction with people. Hence, I think the business for retail pharmacy here is probably slightly better off than the chain pharmacy during this time.
I mean, absolutely. I'll share my views on this later. I mean, I'm a pharmacist by training. I think it's an amazing time for retail pharmacies. Pharmacy-owned pharmacies, yeah. Okay, let me, without wasting more time, pass this on now to Luis George to give his take and the take of Zuellig Pharma. Zuellig Pharma is the giant of industry. You know, they have a big impact on, and they know a lot more of data. So over to you, LG.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you see my slides?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dato' Arjan, for inviting me. My name is Luis George Lassonnery. I've been in Malaysia just since January, but at Zuellig Pharma since now almost 6 years. And yeah, it's a very interesting time to join Malaysia under this COVID situation and the mix of pandemic and now economic crisis. I will share with you how we have been looking into that, again, from the MCO to now the economic crisis from our standpoint as distributor mainly in the pharmaceutical business and consumer healthcare business as well. Just a few as an introduction. I mean, we are distributing for sure to all pharmacies, either pharmacy chains or independent retail pharmacies in the country. So for sure, our first worry when the MCO started and the crisis started was to be able to keep the business up and running So we could continue to deliver to you 24/7, almost as normal. And so far, so good. And this was including a very good cooperation with all our customers, all of you on the line. We would not have been able to do that alone, let's be clear. So I will just mention on these slides the key parameters we are following daily to make sure we are operating as normal. And as you see, all the parameters are green. All our sites, all our distribution centers remain open and working 24/7 as usual. I will pass the details, but it was a lot of work to do that, not only to make our employees safe, but also to convince the government that we were essential and they should let us work 24/7. Believe me, it was not granted. It looks obvious for us in the business. But at the beginning, with the government managing a huge crisis, it was not easy to catch their time and to convince them. But it was a big work. Our staff, as always, at the office, so that they were leaving us safe and at distance in our warehouses. Our sales and marketing staff, for sure, like all our clients, pharma companies, were locked at home during the MCO, but they've been restarting visiting you on the field now already since 3 weeks, since the CMCO. During all the MCO, we managed to continue to process orders and get your calls almost as normal. That was pretty good. Our warehouses also showed no disruption inbound and outbound. Everybody was worried of the capacity of the country to continue to import pharmaceuticals. And in fact, this has never been a problem. And now the problem is more that everyone has imported like hell, and the sales have been extremely bad, in fact. So now stock levels everywhere, in our warehouse, also in DCR pharmacy chains, are to the roof. And this is starting to cause big difficulties. Deliveries went as normal. Even in the red zone, we managed to deliver almost as normal. The only thing worrying for sure, it's cash collection. I think all of you in the place know how worrying this is, because if cash stopped to flow, then supply also stopped to flow almost instantly. So as a distributor, we are in charge not only to maintain the supply chain, but also maintain the cash flow, which is an integral part of the supply chain. So far, so good. All our customers, we have some default payment, but as usual, I would say, there is always some customers defaulting or deferring, but overall, it is still as normal. We all know this is, we are not yet into the cash crisis. The cash crisis will happen in the next 6 months. As it was explained at the beginning, banks will come on us in the next 6 months. If sales continue to be so low, cash will become low. But expenses to maintain supply chain will remain. Your expenses as pharmacists are fixed, like our expenses as distributor are fixed. So economically, financially, the bad things are ahead of us. So in that respect, I would like to thank all of you on the line. I will not detail this, but it's a thank you message for all clients and customers and stakeholders, hospitals, pharmacists, because all together we have been able to keep this business running. And it's not only a matter of economy, and our economy is very important. We employ a lot of people, but it's also a matter of delivering to patients. Not only the patients going to hospitals to get prescription drugs are very important, but the patients going to pharmacies to buy personal care, consumer health care are also very important. They maintain their health good, and this is important for the country. So also retail pharmacists distributing both ethical drug and consumer healthcare drugs are very important. So thank you for that. Now looking at sales, to give you how we are looking at the market as a distributor. And you may know we are distributing 75% of pharmaceutical multinational companies, and basically 50% of the whole pharma market is going through Zuellig. So we have a quite good view of how the market is, and we can follow it every day. This first slide is end of May. And I think I will show you a picture you know already, but this is a good picture to show the magnitude of the crisis. Since MCO started in March, so we have got a big peak of sales in March. The green line is our monthly sales. The yellow line is the last 3 months trend. The red line is the last 12 months trend. So March saw a stockpiling not enormous, but a certain stockpiling. And then April and May show a huge decrease. As you see, our sales in April and May sales. This is dramatic. And you see the 3-month trend, the last 12 months trend, it's very bad. So we all know where it's coming from. And traffic has been reduced across the board. All segments, all therapeutic area, all channels have been hit. Not exactly the same, but the pattern is more or less the same everywhere. And this is the pattern across segment: pharmaceuticals, consumer healthcare, medical device, animal health, except animal health, which is very special and not impacted because it's delivery to farms, which are essential and was not impacted. Medical device, you see very, very bad because no stockpiling and almost all elective surgeries, procedures were canceled and delayed. So very bad in medical device. Consumer healthcare showing a bit better. A big stockpiling, then big drop in April and restart in May. And pharma, you see the same pattern as overall. When we look by channels, sorry, it's a bit small, but I will explain. This is government hospitals, this is private hospitals, this is dispensing GPs and specialists, and this is pharmacies, chain pharmacies and independent pharmacies. Again, we know that the government hospitals, they are not so much impacted. They didn't stockpile, but May was bad anyway. Private hospitals have been very severely hit, very severely. Dispensing doctors also have been severely hit. For pharmacies, the picture is in between. Big stockpiling in March, both chain and independent, but then a big drop in April. And what is good to see is that interesting, I would say, is that independent pharmacies manage overall, and it's a global picture, manage to maintain activity level with us a bit better than pharmacy chains. Pharmacy chain, the drop was big. This is especially due to pharmacy chains shopping malls. But overall, we know the trend of independent pharmacies is relatively stable, while pharmacy chains are on the rise. This is, you may be interested of that because the beauty of our position as distributor is we see your orders every day. So we see how the market is behaving every day. This is not yesterday, but this is last week, the first 3 weeks of June, since January. This is in order quantity, the number of orders we receive, which is a good signal of the vitality of the market. And each point, each peak is 1 week. So this is the 4 weeks of January, 4 weeks of February, 4 weeks of March, April, May, and 3 weeks of June. And as you see the usual pattern with big sales first half of the month compared to second half. You see the big stockpiling in March for 3 weeks before MCO. You see the decrease down very much, more than 30% in April. May recovering a little bit, but still very much below what we used to see before MCO. And June on cumul is more or less the same. There was a peak after Ramadan, but then another peak down. So overall in cumul, it's more or less the same as May. And I can tell you the sales these weeks are extremely bad again. It looks like end of April, it looks like end of May. So June is going to be a very bad month like May and April. To be a bit optimistic, it was very good to see that especially the pharmacy channel was quite resilient, being creative and reacting how to catch patients during the MCO and thinking moving forward how we could catch patients even during an MCO, during a pandemic when patients stay home. And at Zuellig, we have been pushing recently a lot of projects we had in our cupboards, and we have been activating them to help you pharmacies continue to catch your patient and to catch with us even during MCO. I will go quickly on that, and if you are interested, you can call me. Dr. Rajan will give you my contact number. Anyway, you have contact number with Zuellig by way or another. But quickly, we are bringing an online digital tool for you, pharmacists. EasyRx, you will hear, if not yet, it's an ordering online platform. So you can order by yourself online, like you order for your home on Lazada. And we are launching a chatbot on SMS, Ask Zip, which is a way for you to know anytime by SMS the status of your account, your orders, your deliveries, your payments. And even these two platforms will get a payment gateway, so you'll be able to pay online through this. We are launching also Clinify to clinics and MedAdvisor to pharmacies. You don't hear yet of MedAdvisor, you will hear little by little. To make it short, it's a CRM, a customer relation manager, which is a tool allowing you to connect online with your patient, your consumer, and to build loyalty campaign with them, to follow their prescription, their refill, to launch compliance campaign on them to make sure they take their treatment and they keep looking at themselves well. Clinify for clinics and MedAdvisor for pharmacies. And last but not least, we are supporting our clients. So, you know, some of our clients, especially consumer healthcare clients, they deliver to you, but they want also to be on e-commerce. So we are helping them delivering on e-commerce anyway. But what we very much focus with pharmacies, it's EasyRx and AskZip and MedAdvisor. This will conclude my presentation. Again, thank you, all of you pharmacists on the line. This was a very difficult period from March to June, and I just wish we go back to normal very, very quickly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Luis George. Actually, no, I think on behalf of the entire industry, pharmacies especially, we want to thank Zuellig Pharma, because I think I was getting a daily update from LG. They were going out and really going out of the way, to make sure there was no break in their service, which I think is deeply appreciated.
Thank you.
By the industry. I think it's phenomenal. I was getting a daily update from LG, what they were doing. They were talking to MITI, they're talking to ministry, they were getting clearance, they were doing this and they were doing that. So in the worst of the shutdown, they were working hard and they were delivering product, which was absolutely critical because Zuellig Pharma delivers some of the most important life-saving drugs there are. And consumers in a lockdown cannot ever be without it. So I think from the industry point of view, a big thank you, LG, to you and your team.
Thank you.
So we come to the last stage now, which is discussion. We've got some questions from Sandra. Yes, customers would choose to purchase from Lazada and Shopee instead. My response, and I would like to invite the response of the panel, is why would they go to Lazada and Shopee if the independent retail pharmacy are available in the neighborhood? When I can pick up the product immediately, I don't need to pay delivery. Even today in Shopee and Lazada, there's no way you can prove your product is genuine. Right? There's no way.
Yeah.
So when you're getting in the pharmacy is getting from Zuellig Pharma, you are absolutely certain of the genuineness of the product, right?
Yes.
Number two is that, as already mentioned by both Benny and LG, you can set up the virtual store. Your virtual pharmacy can be as effective as the chain store.
Yeah.
Right? If you have your customers' database and you know them all, you can call them all and say, hey, I'm open from this time to this time. If you drive by, you don't even have to park. My assistant will deliver the stock to you, right? And if you want to be a bit more entrepreneurial, you have a deal with Grab or whatever and have a Grab delivery from your pharmacy to the home in your area. I think, as Benny said, crisis and opportunity come together. Dangers come with opportunity. I think this was a tremendous opportunity. And I told this to many pharmacists in my team. The IPs, the independents will grow tremendously because you have people will visit an IP compared to a chain store in a pharmacy in a mega mall or one Utama, but they will happily come to the neighborhood shop while they're doing their immediate grocery shopping. And also, they feel quite safe talking to a pharmacist whom they know compared to a Lazada or a Shopee that they don't. Many of you own your own shop, you have no rental issues. right? Many of you, even if you're renting, know your landlords who will help you through this period. So I think there was a tremendous opportunity. Yeah. So I would like to say, same Sandra, dear speakers, do you agree that exclusive drive-through medicine, telemedicine, and home delivery is the next step you should look into? Yeah. Maybe some quick. The question is, do you agree that the exclusive drive-through, telemedicine, and home deliveries are the next necessary actions that we should look into? Do you have any suggestions?
Definitely.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
definitely that is going to be the trend, I think.
I've already said it. I've already spoken my mind. Another question: what are the most essential market strategies that our fellow pharmacists can apply post-COVID? Let's say it's a good time for expansion or use it for a virtual store. So the question is, should I develop more pharmacies, brick and mortar, or do I go online? Questions, queries, answers?
I think it's going to be a combination of both, I think. I don't think there's a straight answer to go virtual 100% or to go to brick mortar. In fact, I would like to link opportunity here for the retail pharmacy to even go on a nationwide basis by collaborating with a retail chain, for example. I mean, if you look at a retail outlet like 99 Speed Mart or 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven has got more than 2,000 outlets in Malaysia. 99 Speed Mart has got about 1,008 outlets from Malaysia. And if a retailer can work with any one of these outlets, for example, or any one of these chains, whereby deliveries can be done through their stores, even in the most remote area in the country. Meaning to say, you can have a store in Kuantan, and then you can deliver your products to a customer in Tangka, in Johor, for example, through a 99 Speed Mart outlets. I think these are the opportunities for them.
Interesting. Okay, one more question. This is a bit above my own pay grade. The news reported China and South Korea experienced a second wave COVID. Will Malaysia experience a second wave of the pandemic in the coming months? If yes, based on your data, when will we be expecting it? This is beyond my pay grade. So
yeah. I think no one would have the answer that whether we experience a second wave or not, because it depends on a lot of factors and effort. Definitely, no one wants that happen. No one wants it to happen, and the health ministry, our DG, is also trying very hard to stop it. So, well, I don't think we have a concrete answer for that, but that also reminds us that the risk is still there, and we ourselves personally we need to take care of our own life and ourselves, and then also to can minimize the spreading to the rest. And no one would know that when it comes, but no one expect it will happen for the second wave.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about this. I mean, when you look at China and Korea, yes, there is a second wave, but we should look at numbers. It is very small now. It's very small. So we should not, I think, make too much stress and negative noise about second wave. There will be, because the virus will still be around until there is a vaccine. So there will be waves for sure, but they will not be as big as we have experienced. And by the way, okay, there have been deaths in Malaysia, and I'm sorry for that. But when you look at the death rate in Malaysia, it was relatively small compared to some other countries. Yeah. So the next wave will be even smaller. One dead people, it's one dead too much, definitely. But we should look at things relatively. So there will be other waves. It's inevitable until there is a vaccine. But it's not a reason to stress everyone about this. And it's certainly not a reason to shut down the economy again. If we shut down the economy again, we are all dead. That's for sure. Yeah, we are certainly going to die of this much more than from the virus. Huh?
And I think for now, all the countries already got the experience, somehow experience to deal with that. So even if the lockdown happen or quarantine happen, it doesn't have to be in a full scale for nationwide, because all the country can start by start, and technology also can identify the case on the symptom very quickly to have the proper appropriate method.
Exactly. I definitely agree with you. We know how to manage. Look at our staff and ourselves. We know how to put a mask, etc. So we know how to protect ourselves and each other. So really, I'm not afraid by a second wave. I'm more afraid by the economy.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? There's one. Yeah. Tell me. Coming up with it. Okay, it's coming. Technology. Yeah. In the meantime, LG, you were saying something that was quite interesting the other day with the chain groups. You were saying that based on the Zuellig's experience in all the countries in the region, the contraction in Malaysia was far worse compared to, and that kind of surprised me, because I thought we had good digital payment systems in place, and we had far better than, say, Vietnam, right? So can you comment on it very briefly?
The explanation, I don't know, but yes, at Zuellig, and even when you look at GDP forecasts and sales impact, by far Malaysia is the worst hit. Thailand is also relatively hit because of tourism. That's going to be a very, very big hit. But we are more strongly hit even compared to Indonesia and Philippines and Singapore for sure. So just looking at the facts, GDP and sales, the reason I don't know, maybe the economic baseline was already weak. The lockdown was certainly extremely serious. Right? We have been managing on an healthcare standpoint extremely well, with discipline, which was amazing to see across the country.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so it was extremely well done. But so then we pay that in terms of traffic. We have been focusing only on what is super, super, super essential.
Right. There's another question here. This is to Miss Mai. This question is directed to Miss Mai. So you got a fan out there, Miss Mai. The increase in e-commerce in April from other data showed skincare and supplements were not the top categories. Right? Could you comment on that, Mai? The increase in e-commerce in April from the other data showed that skincare and supplements were not the top categories.
Oh, okay. I think one thing we also say that because on the maybe in March on the stock up already happened. So also that when we see that the peak was actually in March, mid-March when the MCO started. So on the partly on the stock up happened. That's why in April there was a decline. But again, we will expect that it will be back in the months to come.
Okay. Now we've had nearly 200 minutes of seminars, right, or questions. First time I'm getting directly related to by name, asking Miss Mai. So it tells me two things. Ladies are powerful, and when you control data,
Thank you, Dato.
And when you control data, you control everything. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we maybe do a quick roundup? Anybody? Brian, Cheng Yi, any more? Okay, there's one more. Is it about the logistics thing? Okay. Again, Miss Mai, you see the power. The spike in logistics on 8 Feb, could that be due to the Chinese New Year break?
Well, I would say that normally for Chinese New Year, because Chinese New Year was in end Jan this year, and for all the logistic preparation, normally it will happen right before that. So here, when we see that on Feb, it was when the first case happened, the first local transmission happened, and then especially when the number of cases doubled.
I remember that. I remember that when the first case happened, I was out in a pharmacy and they were out of sanitizers, they were out of vitamin C, completely
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Any reason for the bad sales figure in May and June? That's now LG, okay? LG, question to you, LG. Any reason for the bad sales figure in May or June?
Simply very low traffic of consumers to pharmacies and patients to hospitals. Extremely low traffic.
Could it also be that there was a shift to online that we are not tracking, LG?
Not on pharma, medical device and consumer healthcare. Historically, the share of online on consumer healthcare is pretty small still. On pure consumer, no, but on consumer healthcare, it's still relatively small. So no, it's no shift to online as far as my segments are concerned.
Okay. Any more, Brian? Chingy? Nothing else? Okay, so once again, I thank everybody for this. There's one more. Again, to LG, many companies are repricing their goods and services. Anything that Zuellig Pharma is doing, repricing their goods.
You mean
increased price?
Repricing. Okay, changing price. Okay, maybe.
Maybe.
We have been. I cannot say, but for sure, we are a big company, so we can swallow the hit. But it's going to be whole Q2, April, May, June, with all our clients selling on average more than 30% less than usual. We don't cut our warehouse by 1/3. We don't cut our staff by 1/3. We don't cut our delivery times by 1/3. We have been keeping business as usual. So this has a cost, huh?
No, I think that the reality is, the cost of doing business has just gone up for everybody. We have to carry more stock because of logistic issues. Bank financing will be more, right? At the same time, business has dropped. So I think there has to be repricing and adjustment of pricing for the industry.
Then, as far as customers are concerned, pharmacies, they don't pay the price for our delivery. It's our clients paying the price.
Correct.
So it's all about the balance between the service level expected by customers, pharmacies, hospitals, and the price that our clients, pharma companies, are ready to pay. And this has to be balanced. So again, 3 months, it's okay. But if moving forward, the market is not recovering, everyone will have to reconsider and be realistic. But again, it's a balance between how much we want to service. Should we deliver everything 24/7 within a day? We may discuss all together this, but it's too soon to discuss this.
Do you see, both Benny and LG, do you see a change in trade terms because of cash flow issues from the industry?
I think from my end of it, sorry, LG, please.
No, from what we see, and we see a big portion of the market, so far so good. But as I said, the pandemic wave is past. The hit on sales, I hope, is past, and we are going to recover step by step. Then comes the hit on cash flow and balance sheet of everyone. Stocks are sky high. Cash flow still good. So the financial discussion, trade terms, if there is any discussion, it will be moving forward. Not yet.
Okay. All right. Benny?
From our end here, Dato, is sort of corresponding with our business pattern as well. The retailer side, there is no payment issue at all. They are still the same. However, in our food service side, we do experience some slowdown in terms of payment because of the nature of the business they are facing, right? So this is the current situation for us.
Okay.
The cash flow issue for me will come, it's more a P&L. If sales are declining, all companies will not have enough cash flow to cover their expenses.
Yes.
And in our business, most of our expenses are fixed. Our staff, our warehouse, our shop, our trucks, same for pharmacies. Most is fixed. Huh? It's very little variable expenses. Huh?
Yeah, so very difficult cut costs, right? Very difficult cut costs, yeah.
But you cannot
Okay.
cost. I would be happy to be able to cut my cost to cover 30% less sales. It means I would have a lot of fat in my P&L.
Yeah, and your P&L is a very, very tight P&L. I know that, yeah.
Yes.
Distributor. Okay, so with that, I thank everybody, Benny, Mai, and LG, but also thank all of you following us on YouTube. Thank you for your time. My colleagues will approach you and see how my colleagues in Holystar THC can serve you better. But this is the part before I end, the part where you say rancangan ini taja oleh. Yeah. So I want to quickly talk to you about our leading brands, which you all know, right? So I'm very pleased that IQVIA or Nielsen has just completed their survey ended March 2020, and we are still the #1 concentrated fish oil in Malaysia, right? Despite very, very heavy, very intensive competition coming from a lot of brands and also a lot of house brands, especially the chains, we are still the leading fish oil. It's getting tighter and tighter, it's getting tougher and tougher, but we are still the leading. And the reason is very simple. Consumers identify us as a toxin-free fish oil, a pure fish oil. Purity is our story. While the requirements for registration are in parts per million, we move to parts per billion. We move to parts per sub-billion, trillion, and now sub-trillion, right? We are the only brand out there that will tell you that we are toxin-free. And if you can find toxin in any way or any form, right? Any way or any form, if you can find some toxin in this product, which we test in EPEX, in Europe, in Malaysia, then we will give you 1 million ringgit. No questions asked, right? Just give it the evidence that you found some toxin. And you know what? Our competitors can make any claim that we also make, that make any price challenge that we also make, but never dare not make this claim, right? Something that I'm very pleased and very proud about. Also good news, for the first time now, we did a survey and we find that we are the #1 probiotic in Malaysia. Lacto5 is the #1 probiotic in Peninsular Malaysia, right? And in the supplement, here we are actually by far #1 now from the data that I have here. The IQVIA data that I have, we are far better than #1 than even in the fish oil category. And the reason is very simple. We started the idea of developing locally derived probiotics. We work with Malacca Biotech. We went to breastfeeding mothers in Malacca who had not taken antibiotics certified for 10 years. We took the probiotic from their breast milk. We then went into farms, cows, to get the probiotics from the cows, soil, fruits. We went and looked at the probiotics found as you open the durian, rambutans, local fruits, right? And we then picked up 87 different varieties of probiotics. We sent this to India, to Pune, which is a biotech hub in India, to be biotechnologically enhanced. They become stronger, right? And then we picked 3 that were going to be in the upper large intestine and 3 in the lower large intestine, right? And we did this product called Lacto5. Now, the feedback we get from the product, how it works, is remarkable, right? People have much less bloating, gas, better digestion, better dyspepsia, better bowel movement, right? And it's very simple because throughout our evolution for millions of years, all probiotics were derived locally from the gunk in our mother's birth canal, from the probiotics on our mother's nipples, to the one that we used to scrape off the floor as we were crawling around, from our salads, from our fruits. these were the probiotics in our guts, and they are best derived in our guts because they are the ones who enjoy the foods we enjoy, so they last longer. They know nasi lemak for breakfast, roti canai for supper, right? Char siu pao for late night meals, right? So better derived for our guts, and they stay longer in our guts compared to the ones we import from Australia or New Zealand or France or Japan, right? So with this brand continues to grow, and we're going to invest now even more effort in making this grow. Now, before I finish off, one big segment that will emerge in the coming years as customers look not only for health but also for hygiene is a product that we've just launching called Silver Bullet. Now, this is nano silver, and we can give it 24 hours of protection. It's the highest concentration of nano silver in the market. It's totally non-toxic. You can actually drink it. And if you've got sore eyes, for example, you can wash your eyes with it. It's alcohol-free. It's completely non-flammable. Now, I think alcohol, as we go, will get a bad press because it's flammable. It destroys fabric in the car. This one, for example, in my car, I sprayed on my steering wheel, on the back of my car. I sprayed on my clothes. The other day, we took the family out, after MCO to go for dinner. My daughter refused to wash her hair, so I sprayed it on her hair. Something you cannot do with alcohol, right? And we want to drive this product. Silver is part of our history. The Romans were using silver in silver urns. They drink with a silver spoon, and hence you get the term born with a silver spoon in the mouth. We also have, whereas they took a lot, if you're fair skin or blue eyes like algae, then you get a slight bluish hue on your skin, and hence we get the term blue bloods, which were always meant for royals because they could afford to take silver and they never fall ill. And of course, we all know the term, the silver bullet, which means, silver bullet, right? It kills everything, right? Now we have it as a sanitizer, as a disinfectant. It's cheaper than alcohol in the long run because alcohol you could apply every 20 minutes, right? Apart from drying and apart from irritation and all that, alcohol also, once it dries, the coronavirus has been shown to come back again active, right? Silver lasts for 24 hours. It kills viruses, fungi, bacteria, protozoa, right? So we're going to commission a survey with IQVIA in 1 year from now, and we want to be the leading Malaysian sanitizer. So we appeal to pharmacists, please come and join us in the fight to make Malaysia COVID-free. Yeah. With that said, once again, I thank everybody for being on the seminar. I wish you all a wonderful weekend going forward. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.